Many thanks for the great response to the networking break. You will have one more opportunity later during the day. We now invite Srinivas Kunte to moderate the panel discussion on one of the latest and most trending idea, institutional and consumer view of Web3 and digital assets. Srinivas leads the content and automation aspects at HDFC AMC. He is also an external research scholar at IIT Bombay. He is a CFA charter holder and holds the CIPM designation. Over to you, Srinivas.
Thank you very much, Megha. Pleasure and privilege to be here again in Bangalore after almost 2-3 years. 2 years back, I was doing a Python class here. Absolutely electric atmosphere since the morning. Fantastic sessions. I hope you all have really enjoyed the sessions since this morning. Lots of not just ideas, practical use cases of how you think about the customers, how you think about technology, and so on and so forth. So I guess, people could relate to what was happening in the real world to what is happening in the technology world and join together fin and tech, that is fintech, right? From here on, especially this session, it's going to take us into the stratosphere. That is, it is going to take us into slightly, different terms and probably the future. So it's the name of the session is, institutional and consumer views. These are the new frontiers for Web3 and digital assets. So lots of different terms coming together. The catchwords in the title is Web3. Okay, this is a new technology called Web3. And the digital assets, many of you are familiar with cryptos, so that crypto is one digital asset. So there are two things that we are going to talk about, Web3 and digital assets. Do we have that slide here on Web3, Web1, Web2, Web3? So just to recap, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you over here are, mostly people over here would be the millennials. I don't know how many Gen Zs are here. But those who are in the millennial stage also probably they would have been born in 1991, 1992, when the internet was just taking off. There were just about 200 websites in the world when the internet took off. That was Web 1.0, where you had information on the web, and then people suddenly started seeing value of what is coming up, and people started playing around with it. First, there were scientists who were using it, and then people got onto the bandwagon. There was Amazon who suddenly came up. And now, as in Web 1, what happened is people were reading things. This CNN.com, I've taken it from the archives, web archives. From Web 1, what happened is people went on to Web 2, which became the social media thing. People started interacting with the websites very actively, started sharing things, and started creating a data mountain or a data ocean. And people like Google and Facebook, the FANGs, they used that information, and in some ways the information was concentrated into different buckets. And people found value in that concentration, and that's why people allowed that information to be concentrated. Web3 goes beyond this. Web3 goes on decentralizing all of these things. So that is I just wanted to give a quick intro. I don't want to steal the limelight from people, but so that is about Web3. And if you look on the other side of things, these are NFTs. Crazy, right? I mean, there's lots of money that is being poured into NFTs. I don't know whether it's hype. I don't see what the value is. There's a nice research paper by CFA Research Foundation. It's for free. Anybody can download it. It will give you the basics of cryptos and bitcoins. But that's a brief intro about today's sessions. We will have, what we'll try to do is, get the session into three different, we'll try to look at three different aspects. We'll try to demystify things. After introducing the topics, we'll try to demystify the things. The speakers will do that. We'll try to find out the pathways and the hurdles in these two journeys, Web3 as well as the digital assets. And lastly, we'll look at opportunities and careers. We've got three fantastic people today on the panel, and the problem is we have just got 50 minutes, and out of which I have already eaten 5 minutes. I'm going to quickly introduce you to these sets of people. First, we have got I'll go alphabetically. Arnab Kumar. He used to be the. Arnab, please join us on the podium. Arnab used to work for Niti Aayog, but he's right now the director for Coinbase, and he's doing lots of things, lots of very good ideas. Please give a big hand to Arnab. We've then got Kashyap Kompella. He's the CEO of R2PAC, right? So that's his firm. But if you look at Kashyap, I mean, he's a prolific writer, prolific speaker, always there on LinkedIn, lots of ideas. He's written so many things. In addition to the CFA Institute Research Foundation, if you can look at Kashyap's website and download a couple of papers that he's written on metaverse and other things, you'll find yourself to be educated on these topics. And lastly, we've got Vishakha Singh. She's an actor. She's the first co-founder for India's first NFT marketplace, and she's doing many things. I've got her bio here. One second. So she's a pan-India actor, right, and award-winning film producer as well. Vishakha has been an entrepreneur. I just asked her, why did you go away from film? So she said she got bored, she did not like the cameras and so on, so she wanted to do other things. And she's built in 2 apps now. The first app is for celebrities, a bot for increasing fan engagement. And the second app is 4-5 app for influencers. Her latest experience of being the co-founder of India's first NFT marketplace under Wazirex brand make her one of the leading voices in NFTs in India, and she's a woman. Give her a big hand, folks. So, Arnab, why don't you start the introductions on cryptos?
Sure. I'll probably expand that. And before I do that, I mean, amongst the 4 of us, 3 of us are experts by proxy, and Vishakha is the one who is an expert by actually doing things. So we should focus more on her explaining the stuff, and we will try to do our jobs here. But look, I'm not a Web3 native. I'm hoping there are people in this room who are Web3 native. But as was explained earlier, we have seen the Web 1 phase where people will interact with the website, they will download stuff, and they'll see. Web 2, we have seen, and actually we are seeing on a daily basis, you would have used an app to come here. Somebody would have used an app to probably register for this website. So interaction platforms, and this is ubiquitous. So it's probably you read and you engage. Web3 is you read, you engage, and you own it. So ownership is inbuilt into that. And this is a very simplified but very powerful message of what Web3 is. When it comes to tokens, cryptos, these are incentivization mechanism for several of these protocols to actually function. The first use case of blockchain Web3 is Bitcoin. It has expanded into many more things. The most fascinating thing that I have seen in the last few years in Web3's journey is what happened with Ethereum, the merge, when it moved from proof of work to proof of stake. And think of this project. This project has been live for approximately something less than 10 years. Massive adoption across the globe, open source, and yet such a big change happening. And it's not just about Web3, it's about pick any technology. This kind of a initiative being done in the open, where the chance of failure is 0. Happening is something that excites me about Web3, excites me about building for Web3. I can go on and on. What I also think is that India has a phenomenal opportunity when it comes to Web3. We can talk about that in a bit. But it's very simple. You build something, you participate, you own, and you get incentivized through tokens, and you find people who can, or platforms who can give you an efficient mechanism to get value for those tokens. This is the entire Web3 spectrum. There are many layers to it, and we can go on about that. But in a very simple way, you build, you expose it to the rest of the world owns, and you find a way to incentivize people who are actually building it, rather than just being consumers, being the owners.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly go to Kashyap. So, sorry, I mean, I'll go to Vishakha next, but I wanted Kashyap to demystify some of the things that Arnab has used. So, he's used Ethereum, he's using Build, So can you explain, I mean, from a Web 2 concept, and again, Web 2 concept is think about Facebook, think about Twitter and so on.
Sure. I think because this is the CFA crowd and I know the CFA crowd, so we tend to think from a top-down perspective. So let me try to do that. So let me say like digital assets. Let me take digital assets. So I think of the space of digital assets, which is probably synonymous to Web3. The principles that Arnab articulated help us build the world of digital assets. So I look at 4 categories of digital assets. You would have been reading about these things in newspapers. The first category of assets is related to cryptocurrencies. There is cryptocurrencies in that. There is, which is not exactly cryptocurrencies, but central bank digital currencies. Then there are stable coins. So that is one category of digital assets. The next category of digital assets is this very exciting concept called non-fungible tokens, which Vishaka will talk about. She's an expert here. So third category of assets is decentralized finance applications. So or DeFi. That's like the regular finance that all of us would be doing is called traditional finance or TradFi. This is DeFi. And the last one, which is not as yet mature compared to these other 3 categories, is tokenization. Tokenization of assets. You see Sandeep here. Sandeep has been working on tokenization of assets for a long time, but that's again one category. So there are these three categories. So now to paint a picture of what's happening in each of these things, if you look at the market cap is number of coins into circulation. This will give a macro picture of the space. Similar, think of it as coin cap. So right now, when I was checking the data this morning, there are about 2,800 coins. There are 20,000 coins, but 2,800 coins are listed by most of the data providers. The combined value of them is about $1 trillion. In that $1 trillion, Bitcoin is the number one cryptocurrency, which has about, I am rounding up numbers, these are orders of magnitude, so $400 billion. Ethereum, which is again an interesting blockchain, is about 200 billion of that. So that's like 60% of the market cap of the digital assets is these 2 assets. And so there is a very big long tail. If we think about the categories like NFTs, the market cap of NFT related digital assets is about $7 billion. And DeFi or decentralized finance applications is about $18 billion. Smart contracts, you would have heard of this term called as programmable money. So all these digital assets, the fundamental building block of digital assets is distributed ledger technology, which is a blockchain. Think of it as a append only or a database on which you're writing to a database, you're adding to the database and everybody can read that database. So these are the applications, all of which, this entire structure, it's fascinating, is being built on blockchains. So CFA level 1 portfolio management has one of the readings called what is the applications of these financial applications of digital ledger technologies in things. There is a refresher reading also, so please check it out.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I wanted to now go to Vishaka, and first of all, I wanted to also inquire or understand how did you switch, and did you not find any stumbling blocks to switch from a filmmaking career to NFTs and founding this marketplace? How do you get yourself up to speed? And maybe share some of that so that people who are at that stage and they may want to leave and do something in this space.
That's a great question, Srinivas. But I think we are living in times where we see people having multiple careers. Today, I think almost 80% of youngsters below the age of 24 or 21 want to be YouTubers and influencers, right? The world is changing and the pandemic has shown us that there is nothing called stability and we all need to have multiple streams of incomes, just like we invest in multiple assets, right, to earn some sort of a passive income. Now coming to my switch, I think I just genuinely inherently have a very high risk taking ability. My parents are entrepreneurs. I became a film actor. That's a very risky proposition. I didn't have any training in it. I became a film producer. I had no training of becoming a film producer, but I have produced 4 independent films that have won awards. I became an entrepreneur in 2017, and that's when I heard about Bitcoin, by the way. But it was always born out of my own need. I wanted to engage with my fans, and that's why I built a SaaS tool. And again, kudos to all the nerds and the techies out there who were there to build with me. So I gave the problem, they gave the solution, and I just conveyed it well. And I think it's the pandemic that propelled me towards NFTs because that's when the world of NFTs really opened up, and it all started off with this simple, not even simple, with just this digital artwork called, Beeple's artwork that was
Yes.
sold for $69 million. And why did we in India get so interested? It wasn't the $69 million, it was the NFT collector Meta Kogan, who was an Indian. And we kind of just went crazy about it, and we thought, oh great, it's a quick, money making machine, and let's get into it. But I got into it because it was a natural progression. We immediately understood that blockchain is the game changer when it comes to building any kind of community. When we talk of Web 3.0, every time you go on the internet, you're spending time, you're scrolling, you don't get rewarded for it. But when you do that in Web 3, when you play a game, you get rewarded for it. Today, when you have a browser called Brave, you get rewarded for your time there. So I think that's something that I identified. I realized my time is money. And I think getting under the WazirX brand at that point in time was the right move, It was crypto and NFTs.
How long did it take for you to learn these terms and terminologies?
So that's the beauty of the pandemic again. And now inherently again, it's about your personal qualities of wanting to learn and wanting to upgrade. But if you remember during the pandemic, all of us were not even cooks learned to make banana breads, right? Bake banana breads. It was the YouTube, right? You find if you're really interested in it, you will just search whatever that you want to search and you learn. So I started by actually just reading up a lot of, watching all those videos on YouTube, and that's how it came about.
Can I ask a difficult question?
Yes, please.
So how many NFTs do you own?
I actually own quite a lot. I have an anonymous account on OpenSea, and much as I don't really collect from anonymous creators, I choose to be anonymous because I know I'm a credible person and it's for my own safety, so to say. But on WazirX NFT marketplace, I own just about 16.
Okay.
Because it's not, me being the co-founder, it doesn't really look nice, when I own a lot of NFTs.
Okay.
It will look like I'm supporting a couple of creators and being biased towards them.
So I want to now go to Arnab. She used two terms. She said that, people are making money. How do you make money in this? Who's making money for whom? Can you put that slide, please, where, we've got those NFTs?
All right, I think that's a question for Vishakha.
I'd love to answer that,
well, she's the best person to answer it. Yeah.
So, can I know how many of us here are NFT creators or collectors? Anybody? Amazing. So there are, I think, three, four, and I'm assuming 5, maybe.
No,
So
not
5
yet.
of us, right? How many of us understand what NFTs are?
Good.
So by the way, for those who don't understand NFTs, those are some of the NFTs there. Can you put the other one? Sorry. So you can see Sholay, Amitabh's, Vishakha was kind enough to share this one. There's one more on Sunil Gavaskar. Anyway, sorry,
Right.
please go on.
So now, I often get asked when people say, why? And it took me a while to understand NFTs myself, because first to understand the term non-fungible, fungible, and honestly I thought when I heard the word fungible for the first time, I was like, fungi is a word I associate only with pizzas, So it took me a while to understand, and I always start with the basics. I hope I don't really bite into too much of anybody's time. Fungible is something that can be replicated. Non-fungible is something that is absolutely unique. Arnab is non-fungible. Srinivas, you're non-fungible. Kashyap is non-fungible. Even if I have Arnab's clone out here who has the same DNA, he will still be non-fungible because his thinking process would be different. His experiences would be different. But when you talk of non-fungible tokens, to simplify, it is nothing but a data file. Okay, it could be a JPEG or anything that is put on blockchain, and the moment you put it on blockchain, if I simplify it further, if you're a creator, any picture that you click and you put it on social media, the only person who's benefiting from those pictures is Facebook. But if you put those, as long as you own the IP or you are the owner of that photograph or the painting or the music that you've created and you're putting it on social media for likes, the moment you put it on blockchain or any platform like WazirX NFT Marketplace or Coinbase or any other marketplace like OpenSea, you can actually earn money via whatever medium, but yes, as long as you put it there, you can earn money and basically utilize that asset to generate some income. Now, what was the question exactly? I tend to never go
How do
home.
people make money?
How do people make money? Now, when you have an NFT, you have a creator and you have a collector. So how does it benefit the creator? Uh, if an MF Hussain painting is being sold, you can actually have a digital version of that NFT, and you can make, that will be an added stream of income for the creator. I, as a film producer, every time pre-pandemic, when I would release my film, I would have to, sell, as an independent producer, I would have to sell my film rights, divide them into theatrical release, theatrical rights, music rights, satellite rights, overseas rights, etc., etc. Add to that the NFT rights. And the beauty of NFT rights is that it doesn't always clash with the rights existing in the physical space, which means I can decide that 1% or 10% of my cost of production can be actually recouped if I sell my NFT, my film's NFT collection. Now, from a creator perspective, once I sell, say Arnab sells his image to Kashyap, Kashyap buys it for say 1 ETH. In the secondary market, where Kashyap can then sell it to Srinivas, okay, say for 2 ETH, Arnab will get royalty from that sale, and every sale that happens subsequently, Arnab continues to get royalty. So that's a great bonus, and it's all transparent on the blockchain.
Sorry, just to interrupt. 1 ETH is ETH, right? And what is this costing? 1.5 lakh rupees today, or how much?
Yeah, today. So even if it's not ETH, say if you're dealing with another currency, like Sol or Matic or even WRX, whatever currency that you choose to, the point is that because it's on blockchain, it is transparent, and you continue to generate royalty. So that is a great bonus for creators. Now, why are collectors buying it? Right? Collectors are simply buying it because the earlier set of collectors were all innovators, people who wanted to understand what this was. A lot of times collectors buy NFTs because they want to invest in an artist. Now, they also can sell this NFT in the secondary market and make money. Additionally, we've seen that a lot of these collectors are youngsters. I have personally seen on WazirX NFT marketplace collectors as young as 14 years old and 16 years old. Youngest creators being 10 years old, 12 years old. Now, this is a generation that is going to bypass the entire banking norm. I mean, I remember when I used to learn sitting with my mother writing checkbooks, how to write a money order and all of that. This is a generation that has bypassed all of it. And because they are heavily on blockchain and invested in Web 3.0, our generation, all of us need to catch up and then guide them with the experience that we have from the Web 2 space. I think I'm going all over the place. I'm just going to pause.
No, you can pause.
Yes.
So but you made an excellent point. You said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that somebody who's buying the NFT, that person is also tagging along with Amitabh Bachchan's future sales.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Right.
So I wanted to go to Kashyap and again demystify this value chain, and also just draw one more. She mentioned one point. What if you lose a file? So I don't know how many of you see Big Bang Theory. In Big Bang Theory, there's this Sheldon, and they in their younger days, what they have done is they have got a Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is there on their old computer, and the computer gets lost. But anyway, they retrieve that computer. So I want to go to that point, like what if I lose my file?
So if you lose your password or the keys to the wallet, then it's gone types. Probably. So this is called custody, right?
Yes.
Like you're in the Web 3 world, you're responsible for everything. You get paid for your contributions, but at the same time, you bear the risk as well. So with your permission, I would like to take the institutional view of these things.
And before that, quick clarification here, there are two types of wallets that exist in Web3 world. One is called a self-custodial wallet, where you hold the private key. If you lose the private key, then, but there are custodial wallets also, where somebody else holds it on your behalf. It's like a bank locker. So if you have jewelry in your house, and the house gets burned down, or somebody changes the locks of the house, it's a problem. That's a self-custodial thing. Your jewelry being in a bank locker is a custodial wallet. So these are two different aspects of how people maintain asset. One thing I also wanted to build on Vishakha's point of these NFTs and the fantastic example she gave about MF Hussain. In a Web 2 world, you use a Web 2 wallet to buy an MF Hussain. You put it in your drawing room. Somebody comes in and says, oh, that is an MF Hussain original? Really? In a Web 3 world, people will see MF Hussain painting, assuming MF Hussain had created a digital, or some new artist has created something that is purely digital. They'll come and see, okay, this is XYZ painting, wow. Because the aspect of them questioning whether it's an original or not is gone. You know for fact that it's an original one. Now NFTs, like any other assets, and that translates to even physical art that you see, it's all about a supply-demand equation. If an artist becomes super famous overnight, or some of the micro-blogging sites that you see, or some micro-video sites that you see, some of the clips, they become viral overnight. What happens to them right now? They become viral and that's it. They come in a newspaper or a news bite for a few days and then everything is gone. What if you being famous actually made you earn something? And that's where the Web3 comes in. People are coming in, people are interacting with your video, and you are earning as part of that. That's the beauty of Web3.
Sorry, Kashyap, I wanted to quickly, we've discussed a lot of consumer views and we've also introduced ourselves to some of the basic terminologies. I wanted to go to Kashyap and get the institutional view of things. What are you talk with so many institutions. I think you are the chief AI officer for many firms as well. So can you share your thoughts?
Right. See, I think from a Web3 point of view, like, I mean, I'm playing the devil's advocate, or I'm taking like industry analyst view. A lot of it is premised on the future potential and promise. So some of the lofty concepts of Web3 that we see in practice, like Mike Tyson had a quote. He says that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Right? I mean, so that's the caveat emptor out here in terms of many of the Web3 concepts. This is still very early days. I just want to stick to the consumer point of view for like we saw an example of Decentraland out here. So there was a controversy, or there was a news report a couple of weeks ago. So that was valued about $1.3 billion or something like that, because they were creating this Web 3.0 game. But
sorry to interrupt. Can you please share what is Decentraland?
Yeah. So Decentraland, if anybody is old enough, they'll remember this virtual world called Second Life, which is like a virtual reality world where you have your avatars and things like that. So the
SimCity.
SimCity, yeah.
A lot
So
of us would have played.
this is the Web 3.0 version of it, which like Facebook is also trying to do, called Metaverse, or it's a crypto version of the Metaverse. So Decentraland, somebody figured that there are only 33 users of that per day. So Decentraland then again tried to do damage control and said, no, we have 8,000 daily users. Compared to, say, World of Warcraft or something, if you go to World of Warcraft right now, you see that there are 2 million players or more than 2 million players playing. So there is still a lot of way for all of these principles to be put in practice. So, but coming to the institutional view, which is, I think is like, which is my specialty. So in 2017, this is all the big banks and big financial services were very hostile towards the crypto world, the digital asset world. So Larry Funk, he said, Larry Fink, if there is a lot of demand for Bitcoin, it shows the demand that is there for money laundering in the world. So this was him in 2017. So in 2021 and 2022, BlackRock is actually offering custody services. We talked about how custody, I mean, you lose your password or you lose your keys. That's the same thing for institutions as well. So a lot of the big institutions, you name it, BlackRock, Apollo, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and each of these companies, State Street, Fidelity, they're offering, because of the demand, like one thing we heard is like there is a lot of millennials, Generation G, who is interested in holding digital assets in whatever form, cryptos, NFTs and whatnot. And to serve the demand from such clients, they started offering these digital asset services. All of the banks and financial services institutions that I mentioned, they have digital new business units for digital assets. So a lot of them have offices like within 5-kilometer radius of where we're talking today. So this is sort of a bet, optionality on the financial innovation that they're taking, and also responding to the market needs. So I lost my thought, but the fact of the matter is, where we are today right now, we are in a sort of a crypto winter. Right. Crypto winter means where the prices of crypto assets have fallen down, and the first wave of adoption that has happened in crypto has sort of happened because of speculative investment flows, a lot of it, not all of it, but some of it, or because of fear of missing out. You see your friends who's putting in like $100, that by the end of year has become like some $50,000 or something like that. You're like, hey, I'm missing out. So institutions also have this FOMO, so they started getting it. But the next wave of adoption, because there are these hype cycles that keep going on, the next cycle of adoption is going to come from the utility NFTs or the actual value that people see. That is normal, and this correction is not unique to the crypto space. You're seeing that happen in the unicorn, regular tech unicorn space as well. So that's where we're at this point in time. But a lot of commonality of these threads, the questions you're asking, Srini, is like, how does anybody get into this? You're not a technical person. How did you get into this field? So that is the problem that everybody else is facing. Like, the field is so much full of complex terms, complex technologies. If you're not careful, you'll get scammed. So how do we make it easier for people to enter this field and stay invested, whatever may be their interest for reasons for investing? And I think that is where like people like Coinbase are helping a lot.
No, so you use that word winter and you also use investing. In investing, there's no winters, there's no summers, right? I mean, if you have a long-term view, in fact, winters are good to buy. Would you agree with this view?
In crypto, long-term is like 24 hours.
Exactly. I was just going to that.
Yeah,
Right.
so right now you can see that the prices have collapsed.
Right.
So is it a good time to buy? Yes, no. Can I do a quick round?
No investment advice, but you have to think of it from this perspective. If you think of Bitcoin was introduced in 2008, we are in 2022, 14 years. You'll probably see there have been three such sinusoidal waves. So the first wave happened, boom, bust. The second happened, boom, bust. The third happened, boom, bust. But if you see where the bust happened and where the next boom happened, it's not that it ended here and started from here. It moved up. Similarly, third wave is moved up. So look for the previous winter's price for crypto assets and look for this winter's price for crypto assets. You will see a 10x multiplier. So it's not as if holding it for a long period of time is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not going to give an investment advice in a CFA conference at the very least.
No, Arnab, so sorry. So we don't encourage advice as well. What I want to go at is the concept.
Yeah.
So the concept in investing is that you find value.
Yes.
So if you are seeing value in cryptos, where is the value?
So I'll explain you with a very good example, and this is an Indian example. I hope all of us would have heard of a company called Polygon. It has been built in India. Why are people so bullish / liking Polygon? Because in the Web3 world, you need foundational infrastructural tools to build what we call decentralized applications. And if you see at this point in time, a large number of decentralized applications are being built on top of Polygon. Polygon has enabled people, enabled the blockchain infrastructure to be both scaled and made at a lower cost and hence made efficient. So a lot of people are using Polygon infrastructure to build decentralized applications. Decentralized applications in Web 2, what you have normal applications, app, Web 3, similar concept is decentralized application. A lot of people are using Polygon as a utility to build those decentralized applications, and that's where the utility of a product like Polygon is, and that's why people are investing in a Matic token. I mean, institutions have invested, retail people have invested. They just had a $450 million raise last year, or probably earlier this year. So this is why people are bullish on some of these things. I mean, Bitcoin is one example. It's a pure asset holding structure. There are other products which are a combination of asset holding and utility. Ethereum is a good example. People build on top of Ethereum. Polygon is a fantastic example. People build on top of Polygon, other L1, L2 infrastructure. This is where the value comes in. If you think the future is Web3, which some of us, at least on this panel, believe it is, and if people are building on top of Web3, you will need infrastructural tools, and the tokens for those tools will have value in the future, and that's why people are investing right now.
So just the CFA Institute Research Foundation paper talks about the value in cryptos as, many of you may have done international transactions, and the costs are really very high. There's a time cost, there's an actual money cost. What the paper talks about is that with cryptos, this is disrupted. You can go to an event and you can pay in a crypto. But I don't know how far we are to that reality and if that reality will ever be achieved. Thoughts, anybody?
I think it's already happening. I mean, it's already happening because I'll speak from NFT perspective, and this is last year. Okay, 2021 was when we were taking baby steps into NFTs. We had Sunburn Music Festival that launched their NFTs, and I think everything was at a standstill. There were no events happening. What Sunburn did was they got their iconic logos and and they put some lovely music to it, and they created these beautiful audiovisual NFTs. The utility aspect of it came from the fact that any collector could now show that he was the collector of those NFTs and get a lifelong access pass to all Sunburn events in the future. So that was the first level. Now we've had even events like these being organized and tickets being sold as NFTs. So it's already happening.
Token gated access is a fantastic example.
Yeah.
So let me,
So I want to add to that. See, we're talking about finance, we're talking about technology, but the world of crypto is also a lot about culture. So for example, let me give you an example. If you look at the top 20 crypto platforms in the world, or crypto tokens in the world, among the top 20, you'll find Polygon, which is like, something that everybody in India should be proud of. The second, you'll find like Dogecoin, which has about like $16 billion market cap. And the number two coin, number two meme coin or a joke coin is Shiba Inu, which has got about $8 billion market cap. So these are jokes. They said this is a meme. These two coins or tokens don't serve any purpose. They're just there for people to have fun. Compare that to India's arguably biggest financial fintech services firm, Paytm, which has a market cap of $5 billion today. So the mind boggles to understand these kind of things. Of course, different markets, but how can like a meme coin, which on its own, it says that like we don't have any purpose, we're just there to have a good laugh, have like a $16 billion market cap or $8 billion market cap, when actually applications that are being used by hundreds of millions of people every day, their value is so much lower. So is that a phenomenon only of the low interest rate world or the pandemic world where people got bored of things and started shooting the prices of these tokens up? That remains to be seen.
So I wanted to, do two questions with, quick answers hopefully, and then we can go, there's a lot of questions coming up. So the first one is what Arnab mentioned, we can build Web3. Can each one of you give a quick application? We've talked about the crypto application of what Web3 could mean in the future. So that's the first question. If you can quickly go in, maybe
From my perspective, and this is something I'm personally working towards, is for me to build a film NFT platform and a film OTT completely being built on blockchain.
Wow, okay.
Which is, I know a lot of people at this point will not understand.
So what does that mean? Can you?
It's very simple. So when you're talking of avatars, so today we are having a conversation. Our avatars could actually go and watch a film together in the virtual world.
But what does that mean to the real you?
To the real me is a new stream of income.
No, I'm saying your avatar has gone and watched the
Right.
film.
Yeah.
Will that avatar come and report to you what the avatar has learned?
But that's the whole thing, right? If you want, this is still in progress. It is
Right.
being built. So now that you're asking these questions, these are the questions that we will have to sit and answer, right?
Okay, got it.
See, they say in Web 2, you are the product. If you're not paying for a product, you are the product, the data about you. I'm hoping that in the Web 3 world, it becomes much more self-sovereign, or you own your data. So if I want to take all my data and go to a different platform, I should be able to do so without losing any of the personalization capabilities. So I'm hoping that Web 3 will let me own my own data.
Right. Sorry, Arnab, I also wanted, along with the answer to the previous question, I also wanted a quick 30-second thing on why did you go from Niti Aayog to Coinbase? What value did you see
that
there?
was my question too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what value did you see there?
Okay, so the answer to the first question is very simple. Any product that you see or any concept that you see where you'll see n number of people building it and n number of people consuming it, it can be built in Web3. It's as simple as that. There are many, but the problem is that if you had asked somebody in say 2001, what will Web2 do? The use cases will develop over time. You can't force fit use cases right now. We are in that exploratory phase. We are not in Web3. We will have a journey where it's not a binary. It's a spectrum moving from Web2 to 2.5 to Web3. So we'll be exploring all these use cases. Remittances, you mentioned, is a fantastic use case. Can we bring down the cost? It has to be proven to be seen whether we can or cannot. But that's where my thinking is. And from a career pivot perspective, I've been a financial services professional all my life, except for the 3 years in the government. So was an investment banker with Deutsche. After my 3 fantastic years working for Niti Aayog, I went and led India FinTech investments for Prosus Naspers. Been a builder, built a few things in my life. Building is what I know. So trying to build Coinbase for India.
Right. So I just wanted to quickly go through the regulatory hurdles and the pathway. Like if you can give a 40-second, 1-minute spiel, and to you as well, Kashyap. You've done full-time AI. So what is the value you're seeing there?
See, basically, about 50 countries in the world either hard ban or soft ban crypto assets. So my thing in India was like, I wrote an article on how, for Mint, please check it out. says we need smart regulation for crypto in India. So only 6 crore Indians file taxes. But there were advertisements last time. He said each of these exchanges has about 10 crore users. I said just if anybody is dabbling in crypto, make them file taxes. So that way you'll increase the tax file base. So there are ways in which the Indian government can encourage regulation while also sort of safeguarding or taking care of the concerns that they have about macroeconomic risk or about terrorism financing, etc., money laundering.
But there are CBDCs now. I mean, 1st November there's a transaction taking place. So, and UPI, where they're starting to experiment UPI with other countries and trying to see if those countries come on board. So, will they encroach upon the, the future of cryptocurrencies?
Like let the best financial innovation win. Like Arnab said, this is still early stages. So UPI, CBDC, different variants of CBDC. But what is clear is what we are seeing today is just early versions of what is possible. So some of the current ideas may not make it, but something will emerge out of it, which is, see, that's why we should create or retain that optionality. We shouldn't kill it before it actually takes off.
Sorry, can we go to you, Vishakha, to understand regulatory hurdles, or what do you see, where do you see the regulation going? Maybe Arnab will be able to give us more substance on this, but what are your views?
So, when it comes to regulations, I think NFTs and digital assets have still been a little more lucky than crypto, especially from India perspective. We know at least that they're being considered as digital assets by the government. But having said that, from the future perspective, I am hoping that there is mass adoption of NFTs, and that will happen only when education comes into play. Education about NFTs will happen when the regulatory authorities are, sweet on us. So I think we will just have to wait for something to happen, and I'm hoping that at some point in time we can use maybe the government CBDC to buy and sell NFTs. That will be great,
By the way, those apps are just fantastic. If you take one of these apps to buy a crypto, those apps, the look and feel is just fantastic. So I wanted to go to you, Arnab. What do you think is the thinking? Why are governments around the world dragging their feet? They are taking like years and years just deliberating ki karna hai ki nahi karna hai.
See, I can't speak on behalf of the government, but it's very simple. We are still in the early days of technology. When there is a new technology, we have to have a balanced view. Kashyap mentioned about some of the coins, good example, bad examples, not taking any of them. But when a large consumer set is involved, the consumer's interest becomes paramount, and that is where you have to ensure that people are getting it in for the right reason. Coinbase as a company is a compliance-first company. I mean, we have gone across the globe and worked very hard with the regulators to try to find the right regulatory and innovation framework. I mean, it's regulation and innovation they are not two ends of a binary. I mean, they can coexist, and that is where we have seen this for most technologies in India, and that's why our hope is that something which is in my personal view going to be phenomenal technology leap. People will come together, and I mean all the right stakeholders will come together and try to find a way where we innovate on the technology while taking care of some of the downsides that we have seen in the early stages of adoption. I mean, things like KYC, making sure that AML practices, CFT practices are taken care of. That is something that has to be built in. I mean, consumer protection has to be the most paramount thing. That is something that we have. When Kashyap mentioned about n number of coins, if you go on Coinbase, you will see only a very small subset of those coins being listed on Coinbase, because we do our due diligence on which tokens should be listed on Coinbase. So those kind of things, people who take, making sure that the new wave of technology, the new set of innovation is accessible to people in a responsible manner has to be there. And that's where it's a combined conversation between all the stakeholders. I mean, one party can't be pushing that, okay, open everything up, and that is not our view.
So there's lots of, thank you. So there's lots of questions now, but I think in the app I'm seeing all of them are addressed to Ramanathan, although they seem to be questions on this panel. So my apologies if these questions are repeated. The first question is from Jayesh Sushil Kumarji. Can central bank digital currency step impact banking, and what's the overall thing? We just started biting some pieces here in India. The RBI came out with CBDCs as a test case in China. What's happening globally, Arnab? I mean, one of you can pick up. Have you done research? I'm sure you would have also done research on this, Kashyap. What's the global view? What's happening around the world on CBDCs?
See, there are certain jurisdictions which are more progressive or forward looking. So they have gone much further advanced in terms of adoption of CBDCs. But in general, there are certain problems with the current inter-country or inter-country payment sort of settlements, etc. So the infrastructure that we're using for that is pretty old. So a lot of countries are actively sort of exploring that possibility. A CBDC not within the country itself, but probably the best use cases are going to be found between countries. So that's the infrastructure that needs upgraded, etc. So I think the Indian government also, I'm not sure, but is of the view that they will be part of such a, what do we say, alliance between countries to make this forward. So there are multiple use cases. We're just piloting the first use case right now in India.
So I wanted to really, I mean, maybe folks around in the room may want to know what is happening around the world. China has already tested CBDCs.
I have no idea.
Okay, I mean, I read in the FT some time back that they did have, China is they started doing it probably during the pandemic, right? Yes.
See, basically there are also what's a global sort of factors such as geopolitics types. Right now, most of the world runs on the dollar-dominated system. So there are also concerns that if the yuan becomes popular, where does that leave the dollar-denominated system, etc. If the digital dollar dominates, etc. So it's not just simple use cases, but there are bigger factors at play.
Right. So I wanted to use the 3 minutes to go through one hype and one fact on any of the topics, Web3 or NFTs or sorry, Web3/digital assets. So Kashyap, can we start with you?
Hype and
hype and fact.
Hype and fact. So that the hype obviously is the prices. I'm really keen to see that. See, Arnav mentioned a lot of cycles. It has come and gone up. So there are like in each wave, all the weak coins have died. So I'm really curious to see whether in the next inevitable boom cycle, is it the existing coins that thrive, or is it the new coins that come in and taking this thing? So that's I'm very curious. But the hype is definitely the price.
Shaka?
Well, I keep hearing that NFTs have no intrinsic value, which is true. NFTs, just as NFT, don't really have much of an intrinsic value. What gives them value is the value that they provide to the collector or the user. And simple things like access to a community, access to the builders in the space, access to the creator, things like building your own community, etc., is what adds value to an NFT. And so I'd say NFTs have an extrinsic value, not an intrinsic value.
So what are the two things that people should look at before buying an NFT?
This is personally me. I like to look at the credibility of the creator. It's just like investing in a startup or investing in any asset class. You like to see the roadmap of what they are doing. We don't want to invest in something that disappears. So that is primarily of absolute importance to me, the credibility of the creator.
And what's the second thing?
The second, of course, is for me the artwork, because if everything fails, at least you have something beautiful to look at.
So what do you look at that artwork where you've got patches around the screen and it's still being sold at $40 million?
So that's, I think whoever is buying it is seeing value to it. So if you look at CryptoPunks or if you look at Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, they're honestly not very attractive. They're not attractive in the traditional sense, but it's the project. It's now literally a brand that has been built, so it depends on how smartly you can build it and how committed you are to a project. Because NFTs, by the way, just quickly, there are different kinds of NFTs. What I'm talking about is an NFT collection. It's an entire project, and some of you can look up the Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's a great example of what a great NFT project can look like.
Right. One fact versus hype.
The fact is Web3 is going to be a very important technology level for the future. Hype is if you think you can solve for everything through blockchain and Web3, that's a hype.
Right. So what are the career opportunities here for, all of them are high-tech investors, very much interested in fintech. 10 seconds from each one of you.
Yeah, I think CFA has a DeFi blockchain course, so just do that.
Okay.
And there are great opportunities for Discord community managers, because NFTs are literally, communities are built on Discord and Twitter
People
Spaces.
know Discord. What is Discord? Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
the career opportunities are immense. This is going to be a new era of financial services. Whatever careers you have built in the regular financial services are available or will be available in the future in the Web3 era. You will see all those careers evolving. During the panel, it was asked, how do you learn about this? There's only one way to learn about it, which is what we call in Web3 DYOR, do your own research. You have to go through the rabbit hole. And when you're going through that rabbit hole, don't give up, just keep going. And then that's all that you need. I mean, unlike other technologies, there's no tech debt here. I mean, you can start afresh and you can be up and running by doing, rather than going through a university, a bunch of courses. I mean, I'm sure there are courses at universities where people find value and they have value, but you can start on your own as well.
I think I'm a great example of that. Non-STEM, non-finance.
No,
Here
no,
I am.
no, fantastic. So we have already made our entry into the rabbit hole. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've over time now, just over time. So I hope you guys liked the session. Thank you.
This discussion, who knows, it may become a cash machine for the future. With this, I invite Shamit, chairperson for the Professional Learning Committee, to extend our token of appreciation for our panelist and Srinivas.
Thanks for coming. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Thank you.
Panelist and Srinivas for sharing a plethora of insights and perspectives.